Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of All Access AM. Happy Monday to you guys. I am Billy Embody. Thanks for joining me. Really appreciate you guys being here as we kick off your week in style. It is now bowl week. It is now college football playoff week for the ACC. You've got NC State, Memphis on Friday in the Gasparilla Bowl coming up in Tampa, Florida, my hometown. And then you've also got the college football playoff as Texas A&M hosts Miami. So we've got a ton to talk about this week, previewing those matchups, of course, as we will do throughout bowl season for you guys bit by bit, taking a look at those bowl matchups as we learn more and more about who's going to play in these bowl games, who's not going to play in these bowl games for transfer reasons or sitting out for pro prospect reasons. All of those things will impact how we preview those games. So we're going to talk a little bit today at the end of the show about NC State Memphis. We'll maybe take a closer look at it on Thursday as well when we'll drop our full bowl prediction show, and we'll go game by game and bit by bit on all of that, and then we'll kind of circle back on all of them throughout the rest of the month as we bring you full-on bowl season coverage here on All Access AM. We're live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 to 8 a.m. Central, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Billy Embody. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button on your YouTube page. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down, scroll down just a little bit, and find the subscribe button. If it says subscribed, we appreciate you. You're doing your part. You're about 50% of people that watch our videos, and we appreciate it. It is a huge help to the show when you click that button for us. But as we get into the show, we'll also hear from Jamie Shaw of On3 and Rivals, where he'll break down some of the ACC basketball matchups from this weekend and talk a little bit about NC State just coming up short against Kansas over the weekend. We talked about that one last week with James Fletcher about how that would be a huge jumping off point to kind of get Will Wade and the Wolfpack back on track, but instead they fall in that one in a close one. So we'll talk about some of the ACC basketball stuff. We do have coaching carousel news to chat about as well. We'll have Pete Nakos on Wednesday. We've got a huge Wednesday show. Pete Nakos, Steve Wiltfong joining us on Wednesday to talk about the coaching carousel and recruiting for the ACC and kind of where things stand on the transfer portal as well. But we do have some coaching carousel news to talk about on the show, and we'll sprinkle that throughout. I'm going to talk about the major one, at least I think, right off the bat. And then by that point, Jamie Shaw will be in the queue, ready to roll and break down some ACC basketball. So it's going to be a lot of fun on this show. We appreciate you guys being here and waking up with us on this Monday. We are presented by our friends at Security National Bank. The Monday show always is a family affair, getting back together after a weekend away, and make it a family thing when you look at your banking options. And Security National Bank is that family bank that you can trust with your money, both your personal wealth, your business wealth, and managing it in the right direction to help you reach your financial goals. You can reach them at 402-344-7300. And that is, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they're open Saturday, 9 to noon as well, Central Time, for you guys to give them a call. But also go to securitynational.bank for more information on what they could do. Again, family-owned business here. They do an outstanding job helping you guys out, managing your money, and we're so thankful to be a part of their family as they support All Access AM. Georgia Tech saw Buster Faulkner go to Florida, the well-paid, well-compensated Buster Faulkner, who helped Haynes King reach, national fame and, of course, Georgia Tech fame, which he was already well on his way to doing. But he is now no longer the offensive coordinator for Brent Key and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, if you've been living under a rock. Brent Key said earlier this month he's kind of been one that has had a laundry list of names throughout his search for the offensive coordinator. And we touched on this last week on the show, but Pete Nakos does have Chip Kelly still in the mix there for Georgia Tech. It is an offensive coordinator job that we're watching very closely. and it is probably for Aaron Philo, the most important thing that he is watching as we see this potentially come together. Now, Chip Kelly can be patient. He has made millions and millions and millions of dollars as a head coach and offensive coordinator, of course, at Ohio State, but he can sit back and kind of take his pick of the litter when it comes to different jobs that might come open, different opportunities that might come his way after spending just 1 year in 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 the in the world of the NFL with the Oakland Raiders. But this is a offensive coordinator job that if Chip Kelly continues to be in the mix, that is going to be really quite something. As Georgia Tech looking to make a splash here, and Pete Nakos is going to be able to bring us the latest on that on Wednesday. That is a really important job that is still open right now. But we're watching that one closely, and it is going to be fascinating to see if they can get that across the finish line. He was out at bowl practices. Sometimes that long drawn out period of time for that type of a job doesn't always mean it's going to happen. But he has certainly emerged as a candidate. We're continuing to track that one. It seems like there's going to continue to be drama around it, but our friend Chad Bishop of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution providing an update that he is on that list of coordinators as well. He was on the list of candidates for the coordinator position for Georgia Tech, but Kelly is also in contact with multiple programs across the country. So something very close, something we're watching very closely. And by Wednesday, who knows? Pete Nakos, when he joins us, will potentially have an update for us on where things stand. But Brent Key is somebody that doesn't strike me as somebody who has to go ahead and push this across the finish line just to push it across the finish line and name a hire. If he wants to look at his list of candidates and say, okay, I can be patient, I can work through this, and I can figure out a way to get Chip Kelly here, great. If not, I can be patient because I need somebody who's going to be ready to roll come 2026 with Aaron Philo at quarterback, who I have high expectations for. If you're looking for an early breakout candidate in the ACC at quarterback, it's got to be Aaron Philo at Georgia Tech with what he's been able to do in his limited opportunities for the Yellow Jackets. He stuck it out. He hung out in that program, learned even more from Haynes King and that coaching staff, and was able to, be a really quality insurance policy. I mean, you could argue one of the top backup quarterbacks in all of college football, if not the top backup around the country. Just somebody you trust as far as being able to go in and run your offense and even expand your offense as a passer. He is just really talented. So we are watching that offensive coordinator search closely, but Chip Kelly remains in the mix, and Georgia Tech continues to be a team that he is linked to. But of course, he is going to take things slowly, it seems, as he goes through things. Now, this coaching carousel is wild. Obviously, we saw Michigan come open. We saw Alabama head coach Kalen DeBoer now shoot down any opportunity that is been presented to him. He said he's not talked to anybody else. He said he's not doing anything with regards to the coaching carousel, which makes a ton of sense. That it doesn't really make sense for him to leave Alabama after just 2 years, even though he was linked to the Michigan job earlier in his tenure. So this coaching carousel continues to deliver and continues to give the goods when it comes to the drama around it, and we'll be keeping a close eye on how some of those things play out. The Michigan job, it could be a domino, it could be a nothing burger for the coaching carousel. They could go a completely different route that doesn't necessarily impact the ACC and what we need to talk about, but it is a job that is at this point going to be probably wide ranging as far as who they look at because of the timing of the job coming open. So we'll keep an eye on that as far as the ACC goes. The Heisman Trophy was awarded over the weekend. The final votes getting released here, and it's just kind of, I don't want to say silly because I really I didn't follow the national Heisman race close enough to say that was dumb, that was this, that was that. And I am the biggest Caleb Downs fan, but him being ahead of Haynes King was kind of silly to me as Fernando Mendoza won the award. But when you look at Haynes being behind a guy like Caleb Downs, I don't have a problem with him being behind Trinidad Chambliss. I don't think Ole Miss is necessarily where they are without him. Gunnar Stockton has been solid for Georgia, more so efficient. Jeremiah Smith, elite, but Haynes King is somebody that absolutely carried his team on his back. And those last couple of games of the season really just went sideways for him. So I said it that the Pitt game and the Georgia game were going to be opportunities for him to either seal the Heisman Trophy with his legacy or not necessarily lose it, but have to sit back and not be able to be in New York potentially, and that's exactly what happened. But a great season for Haynes King. He was the only ACC player in that top 10 of votes getting for the Heisman. So with that, we are done killing a little bit of time talking about the Heisman. That didn't really impact the ACC, but congrats to Fernando Mendoza. We are now lucky to be joined by Jamie Shaw of On3 and Rivals.com. Jamie, thanks for the time this morning. Happy Monday to you. How was your weekend watching college basketball?
Man, it's always good. Always good. It's woke up this morning, got in the car line with my daughter, 15 degrees outside. So not used to that in the Carolinas. Pretty chilly and everything, but it was a great weekend of basketball for sure.
And the ACC is like everybody else, inching closer to now the end of the non-conference schedule, getting ready for that conference slate. And so far, so good for the ACC. When we had you on a few weeks ago, it was kind of the first couple weeks, and we were like, okay, the ACC off to a nice start. They have a much more respectable showing this year in the SEC Challenge and facing those opponents. What's your take on ACC basketball as we are, 2 weeks away now from non-conference play or from conference play?
Well, for sure. I think that the conference is up. The depth of the conference, especially when you look at the top, not sure that they're going to have a Final Four team. Obviously, a lot of luck goes into that as well as they had with Duke last year. But what you have is the mid-tier has been elevated and the bottom tiers a little bit higher as well. So the depth of the conference has definitely risen. You have pros that are back in the conference now that we're seeing dispersed throughout various teams. And you're seeing a lot of teams kind of take a step up. You have guys like Juke Harris at Wake Forest that taking a step. You have Will Wade reinvigorating NC State, and a bunch of storylines throughout the entirety of the conference as well.
And this weekend, I want to start with NC State, Kansas, a really tough one for Will Wade and the Wolfpack, losing in overtime. Darion Williams mentioned after the game, he has to be better for this team. He knows the expectations around what he's supposed to bring to NC State, but they don't get it done, losing 77-76. What were your takeaways from this one as the Wolfpack, put up a huge fight and just couldn't get it over the hump?
Yeah, for sure. So they had it was a tough game. Went back and forth. They went toe to toe with them. Obviously, the game plan early was to let Melvin Council shoot the ball, and boy, did he end up shooting the ball. Throughout the course of the game, they fought. They made some shots, and they took it to the very end. You see the game plan as to what it is that Will Wade's trying to do. You see the aggressive style of defense and the versatility that they're bringing and the switching. You see the spreading the floor and the offense that they're bringing. Shooting the basketball and playing with a lot of spacing. Two things they got to do is they got to start getting stops at the point of attack, preventing the other team from touching the paint, and rebounding the basketball. In all four games that they've lost this year, they were out rebounded. In those games, they have enough firepower. They have five guys that are getting in double figures and scoring, but they just got to get over the kind of that hump. 10.5 threes made per game, which is top 40 in the country. All this type of stuff, you kind of see the blueprint is what he's trying to do, try to put together, but he has an entirely new team, and it seems to be taking a little bit of time to get the continuity as to what it is that he's looking for. But they're fighting. They're in the game, obviously taking Kansas into overtime here after an otherworldly performance from a Melvin Council with the 30-plus that he had. They're putting it together, and they're trying to figure out getting better each game.
And Darion Williams with a double-double and still saying, hey, I've got to be better. I mean, what does that say about his mindset and recognizing the expectations around him that, not only people in Raleigh have, but nationally for him?
For sure. Well, Darion Williams has kind of come in as a connecting piece. He came as a player who elevates the floor, makes everything kind of go smooth around him. What you're seeing recently here is Quadir Copeland taking the reins for this NC State team and really kind of elevating his play into being the featured go-to guy, the guy who's able to have the ball in his hands, touch the paint, and create stuff for the entirety of the team around him. With that, and which is a great setting for Darion Williams when he's able to play off of somebody. Darion Williams, again, one of the best connecting players in college basketball, but he's not that number one alpha type of guy when he's most comfortable. So having Quadir Copeland step up as well and having that 1-2 punch for NC State's only going to elevate the abilities of what they're able to do as a team.
You know, I do want to talk about. I'm kind of itching to talk about Louisville, Tennessee, or later this week, but we'll save the previews for a little bit later on. But that Louisville Memphis game, on the other hand, Louisville almost getting to the century mark, winning 99-73, a dominant performance in one of the chippiest matchups that we'll probably see in college basketball this season, just at least between these fan bases.
Yeah, old Metro Conference foes, man. Unbelievable kind of matchup that they had against each other. What you have is a Louisville team, 94 points per game, which is top 10 in the college basketball this year. 13.2 threes made per game, top 5 in college basketball this year. In my personal rankings, they're coming out this week, number 14 overall. They have how many wins this year? Kentucky, Cincinnati, Indiana. It's just a team that likes to get shots. They move the ball around. Again, they play with a lot of spacing and pace, but they rebound. They get down on 40, almost 43 rebounds per game as a team. They have a tough, physical, gritty style, switchability, and they spread the floor on the offensive end. And Pat Kelsey has a chippy demeanor about him. Pat Kelsey has a personality that's a little bit chippy, and that bleeds through his team on the court. When you see him out there, they have a chippy demeanor to him as well, with a lot of skill, a lot of ability. And they have Ryan Conwell. Ryan Conwell on the floor gives you a chance every night, 19 points per game, over 40% from three. The senior transfer in, he gives you an opportunity every night to be in a game, and they most nights have had success with that.
I was just about to ask about him, and pairing him with somebody like a Michael Brown, who Ryan Conwell added 17 in this one. Michael Brown 16 on the night. Wasn't the most efficient night for Michael Brown and in a way Ryan Conwell, but nonetheless they brought it on the score sheet, and 18 3-pointers for Louisville in this one. That's astounding.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you can tell that plays toward what Kelsey's trying to do as a team with the spacing he brings, but also the shooting aspect. You also add an Isaac McNeely on there. You have Javon Hadley come off the bench. He toggles in between that 3 and 4 spot. And then you have the big man, Sananda Frew, first-year player, averaging 10 a game as well. You see them playing again, I keep saying spread, but you keep seeing them spacing the floor very well. Isaac McNeely shooting over 40% from 3. Michael Brown's got a lot of space to play with, and he's getting better. He started off pretty inefficiently this entire season, but you see him continuing to get used to the speed of the game, used to the pace of the game, used to what he's able to do within the offense with this Louisville team. But again, they have Ryan Conwell to kind of rely on, his ability to shoot the ball, his ability to score, create opportunities, self-create shots and clean looks and everything. This Louisville team is coming into their own, again, with the wins, Indiana, Kentucky, Cincinnati, Memphis, heading into this Tennessee game, which, as you mentioned, should be a very highly anticipated and exciting game to watch.
I want to shift gears here to a Cal team that's kind of a little bit of a storyline. To watch as the ACC non-conference play kind of winds down. Mark Madsen has them sitting there with just one loss on the season so far. Day Ames, did I get that right? Or Day or Ames? Getting near the top of the league, scoring with 18.3 points per game. Justin Pippen involved, John Camden. This is a team that has 4 guys averaging double figures, of course. 10-1 so far this year. They have a nice win over UCLA. They've kind of made a couple splashes here in non-conference play. Just generally, they've taken care of business. What are your thoughts on Cal if you've gotten to watch some late night hoops out there out west?
For sure, man. No, it's kind of an exciting brand that they're playing. Mark Madsen has them believing, and again, going back to the theme of the week for ACC is spacing. They're playing with a lot of shooting. 10-1 right now. Their one loss coming to Kansas State where they got down early, but then they ended up scoring 62 points in the second half to come back and only lose that game by 3 points, I believe, to Kansas State. Wins over Utah, wins over UCLA. Again, you mentioned Day-Day Ames. You have Justin Pippen, the son of Scottie Pippen, coming in at 15 a game. What they're doing is they're shooting, they're shooting very well. They're top 40 in three-point percentage. They're top 40 in free throw percentage, 38% from three as a team. They're spreading the ball around, getting a lot of guys involved. And interestingly enough, they're able to kind of beat you at multiple points of attack. So you're able to have the ball in somebody's hand. Pippen, Ames, Camden can really shoot the ball and make a play with it. Chris Bell, he has long length, able to shoot the ball. So Pippen and Day-Day Ames are both kind of combo guards, able to self-create on the ball, but then you have the spacing coming from a long, lengthy Chris Bell, John Camden, who could both shoot the ball and do multiple things defensively as well. It's a very interesting lineup, very versatile lineup, multiple, as they say on the football side. And they're able to put a lot of points on the board. Mark Madsen hasn't kind of played a pro-style type offense where they're getting a lot of spacing.
Morgan State and Columbia are the two left on their non-conference slate. They open league play December 30th against Louisville out west in a late night matchup on the ACC network, 8 p.m. Central. So we'll find out very quickly how Cal is in league play. Are they a pretender or maybe a sleeper contender in the league?
I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you're sitting here looking at this non-con. I mean, that win over UCLA is very interesting. Also, Utah is not a terrible team either. The push against Kansas State, they've taken care of business. Being able to do what you're supposed to do is a sign of a team, of an interesting team in college basketball, because there's so many times that with the parity that we have right now and everything, teams just don't take care of everything that they're supposed to take care of. Well, Cal has taken care of the stuff they're supposed to take care of. They've also gotten Utah. They've gotten UCLA. So they're going to be a very interesting team to kind of one of those ones that elevates the middle of that tier of the ACC moving forward into the season.
A team that split its SEC matchups, SMU, could be contender after finishing tied for fourth in the league, could be pretender with the way they play defense. That LSU game for SMU, really disappointing probably for them to go down to New Orleans after playing, two teams in Texas A&M and Mississippi State and grabbing wins overtime, and then, losing to Vanderbilt the way they did. But a lot of people obviously love what Vandy's doing. That LSU performance, though, offensively not bad, but defensively that team has really left a lot to be desired throughout this season. They've got some things to figure out. They've got 2 non-conference games left before league play as well. What's your take on what you've seen from the Mustangs so far this year?
Well, their backcourt, you have 2 top 10 scorers in the ACC when it comes to Boopy and Jaron, and they're spreading it around as well. They have 5 guys total in double figures right now. They're another team. What I really like about them is their ability to get to the free throw line, and they're converting the free throws into points. 19 and a half free throws made per game, which is top 30 in college basketball, but they're also making a lot of field goals as well, getting a lot of possessions, 31, which is also top 30 in the college basketball. So offensively, infield's got them looking good. You got the 2 guys that are leading the charge, 19 and 18 a game for 20 and 19 a game for Boopy and Jaron. And scoring the basketball, moving around, everybody's getting involved. They're playing at a fast tempo, and just it's a good brand of basketball, which you've come to expect from Andy Enfield. Andy Enfield's been doing this ever since his days at USC, ever since back to Florida Gulf Coast, going into USC, now back to SMU. He kind of carries his style of play. No matter what the team is, the construct of the team, he carries his style of play into being able to score the basketball, being able to get clean looks, and being able to consistently put pressure on the defense, especially with this team, Boopy Miller, and those guys being able to touch the paint, put pressure on the defense, and then get to the free throw line and convert the free throws.
And I wanted you to drill down a little bit on that. Andy Enfield in year 2, they sign a highly touted class. Jaden Toombs goes out there and has an awesome night for SMU, 8 of 10 from the field. Huge step offensively for him in the right direction. What did you see in him that you felt like he could be an early contributor? Obviously, they had opportunity there in the front court, but he's somebody that, despite coming back from getting hit by a car, has now been settling in really well in the lineup.
Yeah, no, he's somebody who always just produced, no matter the setting, whether at camp, whether at high school, whether at USA basketball or AAU, whatever it is, he always found a way to produce. His nose or his instinct for making a play was always at a high level, despite maybe some, not being the most athletic, not being the tallest, not being the longest player out there. He always was able to create an angle, always able to create an opportunity for himself to find an advantage against the other team. And there's a tough-nosed, hard work nature to his game as well that also produced. He went out and rebounded the ball consistently all the way from sophomore year in high school, junior, senior year in high school. He went out and rebounded the basketball. If you stick your nose in there with some physicality and some toughness, you'll usually find a little bit of production when you're, the size that he is, the strength that he is, the power that he is. And he just continued through that, continued growing on the offensive end of the basketball, but he always rebounded, defended with physicality, played with a motor, and had kind of a want to his game. So it was only a matter of time that he got acclimated to the speed of the game and all that type of stuff. But with his size and physicality, his ability to play with a motor always found production.
Louisville at Tennessee this week, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Another big matchup here for Pat Kelsey's Cardinals. We talked about them earlier. What are you expecting, though, from Louisville, Tennessee?
I think it'll be interesting to see who's able to set the pace. Obviously, Tennessee likes to work it around and get the best shot. Louisville likes to work it around and get early shots and a lot of shots. So it'll be interesting to see who's able to set the pace. You have Tennessee's defensive style, kind of a grinded out defensive style. So where does the pace come from? Louisville's playing really good basketball right now. Ever since coming off of that Arkansas loss, they've really strung along some games here. Tennessee's on a little bit of a slide coming in. So it'll just be very interesting who's able to set the pace. And what Tennessee team do we see? Do we see the early season Tennessee team, or do we see these last 3 games of Tennessee with it? I think it'll be a grinded out. I don't want to say grinded out, a chippy game. I think there'll be a lot of physicality there. I think these two teams are two teams that play with the personality of their head coaches. When it comes to just the chippiness has a negative connotation, so I don't want to say chippiness, but I can't think of the word that it comes to as to where there's just a gritty, grimy type of personality that they have of being able to really get in the trenches and play with physicality. So I think we're going to see that, but I also think we're going to see some fun offense. I think we're going to see, Louisville spreading it around and try to get as many shots up as possible, as many good shots up as possible, but also Tennessee working around and trying to find the advantages where they can within their offense and get good shots on their end as well. So should be a good game. 2 great coaches and 2 highly, highly talented teams. So, it's one of those really good early. We've seen a ton of them this year. Just the early non-con games as to where different teams are getting different looks. It seems like every single night there's a great non-con game. Sometimes multiple ones of them in the night that we just haven't seen in the past. And this is just another one. This could be a Sweet 16 matchup. This could be an Elite 8 type matchup with these two teams, depending on how they right their ship coming forward. So it should be very telling heading into league play in a great game.
And you speak of these non-conference matchups that get a lot of acclaim, and we'll end on this. Duke at Texas Tech Saturday night. Now, we could talk about the scheduling czar who picked this to be a 7 o'clock ESPN matchup on college football playoff Saturday, but that's a conversation for another day. But Duke heads to Texas Tech or faces Texas Tech in Madison Square Garden. An opportunity for Duke to continue to build this resume as a top 5 team and a chance to continue to show the world what Cam Boozer can do, who leads the way in your ACC Player of the Year power rankings.
Yeah, for sure. So, JT Toppin versus Cam Boozer. This should be, JT Toppin's the defending Big 12 Player of the Year, coming back power forward. You have Cam Boozer, who's the leader in the clubhouse right now. One of the leaders, along with Jackson Lindenberg as National Player of the Year. It should be a great matchup. What they have around them, you have, the play of Isaiah Evans, the play of Caleb Foster, and Pat Ngongbo's having a great year for Duke so far. Coming with Christian Anderson, you have Donovan Atwell, Lawan Watts, Luke Bamboy of what they have with Texas Tech. So this should be a very, very good matchup. Duke has not ducked any smoke this season so far. With the early season matchups that they've had, going to Michigan State, playing Florida, and just the games that they've had, and won them all. This is another one. Grant McCaslin's coming in, very excited about this team. They haven't quite put it all together just yet, but they have the talent to make another run in the tournament for Grant McCaslin. Obviously, Grant McCaslin is one of the better coaches in college basketball as well. So John Shire, Grant McCaslin, JT Toppin versus Cam Boozer. Primetime, another matchup, primetime game. It should be unbelievable to watch, and another true litmus test to see kind of what we have going into league play with two teams that were, preseason top 25 with a lot of expectations coming into the season.
No doubt. Going to be fun to watch. Well, we'll have quad boxes on our TV, I guess, watching Duke, Texas Tech, as well as Oregon taking on James Madison. So I think some people would argue the more interesting matchup resides in the ACC basketball world, but we'll see how it goes. So Jamie Shaw, thanks so much for joining us on this Monday morning and breaking down what was another big week of ACC hoops.
Billy, I appreciate you, man. Always keep doing a great job out there. And, we're getting into it, man. We're a third of the way through and we're about to enter league play. And this is the best time of the year.
Yeah, no question about it. We appreciate you, Jamie, and have a great Monday. So there he goes, Jamie Shaw, joining us on All Access AM. We are presented by our friends at Corporate Magic. If you want to take your event to the next level, visit with our friends at Corporate Magic. Go to corporatemagic.com. They can walk you through their process on how they create events that have lasting meaning, memories, and impact for your audience, whether it be millions of people across the globe, whether it be national sales meetings, whether it be huge concerts. They handle all the details, whether it be the concepts, building out the show, and managing those details. They can do it for you, and they've done it on the highest levels that you can imagine. Those big stages demand a partner who knows how to perform when the stakes are high. And the team at Corporate Magic brings decades of experience to every project with the planning process, design, and technology to keep your audiences fully engaged. So visit corporatemagic.com to learn more about how the Corporate Magic team can help you put on your next event or experience, as we like to say. We've got a few more pieces of news to get to and react to as the show enters the back half. Again, we appreciate you guys who are here with us on this Monday. A great crowd, so to speak, of you guys watching on our YouTube page, watching on Twitter, wherever you're catching us at. Do want to remind you guys, hit this QR code that I just put up on the screen if you're watching on your computer or your TV or what have you. And if you scan it, it'll take you to the All Access AM YouTube page where you can subscribe to that. Really looking forward to building that out more. Want to do some things with press conferences and kind of make it an ACC hub, not just for our shows, but a place where ACC fans can kind of get everything you need when it comes to the ACC, press conferences for football, basketball, other sports, other pertinent events. And of course, we've got our live shows and reaction videos on that channel. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button when you get there. It does nothing for you outside of help the show. So, and when you help the show, you help us grow, you help us deliver better and better content and things for you guys. It is college football playoff week. Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes getting ready for their matchup against Texas A&M. Mario Cristobal did speak with the media. Looks like over the weekend, getting an opportunity to talk about kind of how the planning process has begun for this team and underway certainly. But he did say a couple things that I thought were of note. Number one, he said, quote, "I think we're playing our best football, yes, here at the end of our last 4 games. And I thought we were playing really good at the beginning of the year. In the middle, we hit some, just got off to a little bit, just off in a stagnant way," is what he said. But at the same time, at some things they've been good at, we just weren't as good. So they have to adapt. They have to turn up the energy and the urgency and adapt through that. So they've worked a lot on Carson Beck getting into a better production standpoint here late in the year, and he's going to have to be at a very high level for this matchup in College Station, 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturday, bright and early. It is big that honestly this game is as early as it is in College Station. I'm sure it's going to be a zoo. It's going to be sold out. It's going to be an incredible atmosphere. There's no doubt about that. But it is also going to be a game that is better for Miami that it's during the daytime. That'll be a noon kick for Miami as far as their time of things. And this is a Miami team that has been in big environments. Whether it be Carson Beck, whether it be some of these other games that they've played, they've experienced this big game atmosphere just like Texas A&M has. So that it'll be a factor the way Texas A&M's crowd can get into it and be loud, and they're gonna do their standing all game long and all those things. But Miami's really hoping to quiet them down early and jump out to a lead and kind of play from ahead, and that's going to require Carson Beck to be at his best. And that's something that Mario Cristobal mentioned, is just how they kind of got with him and talked about what he needs to be able to do to lead them to a more successful season. If they can keep him clean, that would go a long way. When he's under pressure, his production, his accuracy, all of those things, they drop at a enormous level. But when he's clean, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So that'll be a huge thing to watch, is how Miami can keep Carson Beck clean, or if Texas A&M can rattle him and get into that. So again, keep it locked on canesport.com. If you're an On3 subscriber, you get all of that information with your On3 subscription, whether you're a Virginia Tech fan and want to check in on Miami, whether you're a Cal fan and want to check in on SMU. You can get it all with your On3 subscription. So go to on3.com and sign up today for just $1 and pick your team. Plenty of content rolling these days, including on the Coaches Carousel. And let's talk about a couple of things that did happen. Let's lead off with another coordinator opening in the ACC. North Carolina has gotten rid of Freddie Kitchens. He will not return to the offensive coordinator position in Chapel Hill after what was a brutal first season there offensively with Gio Lopez at the helm. They were 119th in the FBS in scoring at 19.3 points per game, 129th in total offense. It was refreshing to see North Carolina played defensively the way they did, kind of down the stretch, that second half of the season in particular. I felt like they really put it all together. But their offense, more often than not, really could not get them into position to capitalize and go to a bowl game. They were well in position to kind of do that once they started putting some things together. But offensively, Freddie Kitchens and company couldn't get it going. So you still have a quarterback in Gio Lopez that has talent. He obviously had to step up from South Alabama to North Carolina and the ACC. That didn't go as they had planned by any means. But now, Bill Belichick returning to Chapel Hill, from what it seems like, he's going to be on the hunt for a new offensive coordinator. And Pete Nakos of On3 will break down that list that he put out on Wednesday, or he will break out the list he put out over the weekend on Wednesday when he joins us on the 7 to 8 a.m. live show Central Time. But I do want to say one name that stands out to me, at least right off the bat, is Mick Lombardi. He is in his sixth season with the San Francisco 49ers as a quarterbacks coach. He spent the 2024 season as a senior offensive assistant. He's the son of North Carolina general manager Michael Lombardi. The offense over in San Francisco finished tied for second in yards per play, 6.2 in 2024. This year, San Francisco, not necessarily in the same position. I think, offensively, at least from what I've watched, I really don't watch too much NFL, but the 49ers, just have, they're sitting there at 10-4, of course. So what do I know? But I thought early on in the season, there was some kind of buzz around how they hadn't looked like they had in the past, but guess not. Things seem to be going well for the 49ers as they sit there at 10-4. But the real interesting piece of this is, if you do go the NFL route and all of those things, is do you have to wait? That is the big question. But if you can pluck a guy who has worked with Brock Purdy and been a part of his development, that would be a nice feather in the cap. The only question I would have if they do go Mick Lombardi is a first-time play caller, in a sense, at least from what I could see on his resume. That would be a question for me. But I'm intrigued that he's on the list because Pete Nakos, and he can maybe elaborate more on this on Wednesday, but Pete has those deep industry sources and ties and all of those things. I will be interested to see what happens with this hire as the 49ers. Do you have Brock Purdy? It's a pretty cushy job, but that family tie with Mick Lombardi and Michael Lombardi, could that be where his dad says, "Hey, we need you here. We need you to bring some NFL expertise, get some experience, do all those things," or do you stay in the NFL for a pretty strong opportunity, just from a lifestyle perspective? So will be interesting to see what Pete has to say Wednesday on that. We'll talk about that a lot more with Pete again later this week. Georgia Tech has lost another assistant coach. Their run game coordinator and running backs coach, Norval McKenzie, is headed to Virginia Tech to join James Franklin's staff as they continue to, add pieces and different, I would say, impressive coaching hires to that coaching staff. Norval McKenzie is a really, really good running backs coach, well respected. I've watched a lot of his evaluations and what he's been able to do with some of the players in Atlanta, like Jamal Haynes, of course, and how he's been able to develop him and just all those things. And he's worked his way up from Furman to Louisville to Georgia Tech, and so he's a well respected coach. He's going to be somebody who, I think meshes well with James Franklin. He's got those ties there as well. And it looks like this thing is done, and he's going to get him on in the fold. So not only will Brent Key have to replace an offensive coordinator, he's got to replace a running backs coach and a key staff member too for him there, and how they've been able to manage that running back room and get the production out of that throughout. So intrigued to see how that goes. So didn't see any other really coaching moves too much over the weekend, but chime in the comments if you saw anything that caught your eye on the ACC front. Do want to drop a quick note here before we talk about NC State and Memphis. Mississippi State is not going to have Blake Shapen against Wake Forest. It'll be Kamario Taylor, who had a big day in the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss in a loss. And then they'll have Luke Kromenhoek, former Florida State quarterback, in there as the number 2 as well. But Blake Shapen is getting ready to train and do all of those things as best he can for the All-Star game that he's going to play in from the pro side of things. But Kamario Taylor is a true freshman against Ole Miss. He completed 15 of 31 for 137 yards and interception, but also 20 rushes, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is uber talented. But Wake Forest, this defense, will have an opportunity to make a quarterback that, isn't the best passer in the world look average. Their defense has been able to do that a lot this season. This would be, if you're looking for a game that we'll talk about, later on down the line as they play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. But if you're looking for a game that you want to see Wake take care of business against, that would be this one. This isn't one of those SEC ACC matchups where you're sitting there like, okay, this is the 6th best SEC team or something, and they're facing the 6th best ACC team, and there's probably a little bit of a talent gap here. There is a talent gap, I would say, but I think what Wake Forest has put together has shown that this might be a good matchup for them. And Mississippi State is sitting at 5-7. They got in because of the likes of Notre Dame opting out and other programs that opted out. So they end up playing in a bowl game in Jeff Levy's 2nd season. So that game is a part of that January 2nd slate. That'll be at 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN on January 2nd. So quick note from Jeff Levy there on his quarterback plan against Wake Forest. So quite the game there. Just to watch. I think that'll be a really interesting game just as a whole. So let's do this. Before we get to NC State, Memphis, do want to remind you guys, we are also presented by our friends at Sportsmo. Go to sportsmo.org to learn more and download the app. And this is a perfect time of year to kick off an arguably a New Year's resolution of supporting your football team, supporting your basketball team. They're about to unveil their basketball micro donation opportunities. So you're going to be able to bet some money on your favorite college team. And guess what? All the money that you bet, if it comes to fruition, goes to the member organization and gives them money to give to the student athletes and work with their general NIL fund. So instead of just betting and throwing away money on something you feel is going to happen, go ahead and pledge to donate it to your favorite school. And with the Sportsmo app, it's super easy. It takes just 5 seconds to download the app, set up your bank account and your username, and invite your friends and get your group together. And again, support your school. That's the best thing about our friends at Sportsmo. So here we go. Learn more about Sportsmo in this short little video about it.
Sportsmo lets you make a more direct impact on the game because it lets you, the fans, fund your favorite college football teams in a straightforward way. In a you win and I'll give way. In a I need you to show me your running game is alive and then I'll donate way. These real-time tax-deductible microfunds lead to impact your team can feel. Every cent you send mixes with every drop of sweat they put in. Form your squad. Boost your friends when a play comes through. A new way to follow the game. And cha-ching, your favorite team. So what do you say, difference makers? Ready to power the play? Sportsmo. Download today. Let's smo.
That's right. And let's smo with our NC State Memphis preview of the Gasparilla Bowl. A fun matchup, I think we could be in for on this one. NC State and Memphis, two teams that I think we're going to see some offensive fireworks between. This game is set for later this week on that Friday of the college football playoff. So it's going to be competing in a sense for attention with the college football playoff game, Alabama-Oklahoma Friday night. But this game in Raymond James Stadium right there in Tampa, set for Friday. It is a 1:30 p.m. Central Time kick on ESPN. This is a fun bowl. I think teams have always wanted to be a part of this one, and obviously the bowl scene in Tampa and what they do in that city. I'm biased; it's my hometown, but this should be a fun one for NC State and Memphis to do and to go through and get a chance to play each other and two teams that I think roster-wise have a very similar feel to them. I think they can be up and down. Obviously, Memphis, though, is dealing with the fact that they are going to be without, or I don't know if they're going to be without, I need to check, but Ryan Silverfield is headed to Arkansas to be the head coach of the Razorbacks. This is a program that I think was ready for a change anyway. And Charles Huff, the Southern Miss head coach, gets hired. I thought his introductory team meeting was awesome, but he is not going to be the head coach in this game. It is going to be assistant head coach and defensive backs coach Reggie Howard, a former Carolina Panther, is going to be the interim head coach in this Gasparilla Bowl for Memphis. Reggie Howard, I'm sure, I'd love to look this up as we're live on the show. But speaking of a person that should be familiar, and yeah, I think I have this right here. He would have played in Raymond James Stadium at some point when he was with the Panthers. He won a Super Bowl. He played in a Super Bowl with them and also played for the Saints and Dolphins, but would have been somebody who's very familiar with the stadium in Tampa, being in that same division, I believe. So Memphis, though, did lose its last 3 games of the year. They lost to Tulane, East Carolina, and Navy. Not really a bad group of teams to lose to, but Ryan Silverfield's name obviously came up in jobs, and maybe that impacted things, maybe it didn't, but nonetheless, Memphis is 8-4 overall, 4-4 the American. Brendan Lewis is the quarterback for NC State fans wanting to know who is at the helm of this Memphis offense. He started out his career at Colorado, then went to Nevada, and is now at Memphis. He is somebody that I've known for a long time. from Melissa, Texas, a really, really talented player. Both can throw the ball and run it. He ran for over 600 yards this season and 9 touchdowns. Threw for over 2,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. Not the best as far as being a passer and being, I think, on the mark with the football at times, but was able to have a relatively good completion percentage in the same kind of breath. But a really talented player nonetheless that NC State is going to have to contain, kind of running the football and kind of scrambling and creating plays and things like that. So Memphis is a talented enough team that if NC State messes around and doesn't show up prepared, this could be kind of a black eye to start out the weekend for the ACC. But I would expect NC State to come out focused and ready to roll. Dave Dorian is back for another year. He's going to be returning. So there's no drama there. But this is a Memphis defense that is pretty darn good, able to, I think, stop teams from scoring, 22 points per game allowed. Not necessarily one that really stands out as far as overall, slowing down the yardage perspective, but they have been able to grab 12 picks on the year. They've been productive in that, space. But I think this is a game that if NC State can have Hollywood Smothers have a game, this is one where you would think they could run the football on this defense and just use the size that they have to step up and take it to them. And then you get CJ Bailey with a little bit of a balanced attack to bring to that game. And we'll see kind of if they can do that. But he is somebody that we're watching closely as far as if he can play. And he was an all ACC performer. But this is a game that he should have the opportunity to shine in. And, you worry about bowl games and whether these guys will sit out or play or what have you. But, somebody like Hollywood Smothers is just another opportunity on a national stage to show why he was all ACC, first team selection, just outstanding. But with him going to the NFL, you're certainly going to be, watching that and seeing if he'll play. So one thing to keep an eye on, though, as we get into these bowl games is most of these players are going to get checks if they play. So unless you're a first round pick or maybe even a second round pick type of projection, you're going to want to play. You're going to want to show that you can move up draft boards and make a statement with your final performance of the year. So that's something to keep in mind as we kind of talk about this. But we'll have maybe later this week, we'll grab somebody from the Wolfpacker, our NC State site, to come on and preview this game. But NC State comes into this one scoring 30 points per game. CJ Bailey and that offense has been, I think, at a point where they're probably a little disappointed as far as where they stand record wise, just because they've been able to do so much at times, but they haven't been consistent enough to be where they should be. They're ranked 58th nationally in scoring offense. With actually, I think it's 27.8 points per game this season, and they're right smack dab, kind of a little bit below bottom half offensively, yards per game, 71st nationally. So they have to, find an opportunity, find a way to, get this thing on the right track for this bowl game and give CJ Bailey more confidence going into the offseason that even though he's losing Hollywood Smothers, he's going to have options. He's going to have weapons, and he's going to have all of the talent in the world to be one of the top ACC quarterbacks in next season. And so if they can find a way to win this one and do it with a nice offensive showing, I think that would go a long way with regards to CJ Bailey, and maybe even hyping him up a little bit going into the 2026 campaign. This is again, nice platform for NC State to finish up its regular season with, because you have an ESPN game on the day of a college football playoff game. And that's a good opportunity to kind of make a statement there, as they will get to take on Memphis, a team that has had conversation around it because of the coaching change from Ryan Silverfield to Charles Huff. But with Reggie Howard leading it, who knows how this all pans out for Memphis and what effort level they come out with. But Sutton Smith is a really talented running back. He's the team's leader in rushing yardage, but they don't have a running back that has totaled 700 yards or more this season. And Brendan Lewis is the team's leader running the football. So it is a unique Memphis team that NC State is going to face, and they're going to have their hands full at the same time with that, having to slow down Brendan Lewis both through the air and on the ground. That's going to be the challenge for this NC State defense and what they're going to be able to do. This is the first ever meeting between NC State and Memphis. They did share one common opponent this season, East Carolina. The Wolfpack beat the Pirates 24-17 to open the season, and Memphis lost to ECU 31-27 in the second to last game of the season for Ryan Silverfield and company. So if you're one to watch common opponents, that's certainly something to keep an eye on there for NC State and Memphis, as that is the lone determining factor. I know this season has been so much about a common opponent or a head-to-head or something like that for the ACC, but that is the one common opponent between these two teams. NC State, they've made a bowl game each of the last 6 years. It is the longest streak under one coach in program's history. They're looking to finish this thing out the right way. They've had so many highs and a couple of lows in there in a big way. But when you look at what they have talent-wise, I've said this all year since we started this show, and I will continue to say it. NC State's roster has the ability to beat anyone in this conference, as it's shown. Their issue is, I think they have to upgrade their coaching staff a little bit. And if they're going to keep Dave Dorian, I would wonder if maybe there's an opportunity to bring in some other people that might bring fresh ideas for this NC State program to kind of figure that out. But they haven't done that. And I think it's a situation where if they can get maybe the right defensive scheme in there, that could help. They're 100th nationally in opponents' points per game. They are 126 in yards per game given up, which is 442. Just a brutal defensive showing from them this season. If you're CJ Bailey, you want to see them go in on the defense and maybe upgrade certain areas of that. It's not only the pass defense that has been struggling. The run defense hasn't been great, but that pass defense is 113th in yards per pass. That's not where you want to be. And at the same time, you've got CJ Bailey, who's top 15 in completion percentage. You've got Hollywood Smothers this year, and you kind of wasted all of that because you couldn't really stop anybody. And so I think that's something that NC State really needs to take a look at and see where they can upgrade, see if they can tweak their portal approach and go from there, because they're going to have their hands full with this Memphis roster and how to defend a Brendan Lewis. And as he, I think, is playing his final college football game, he'll be looking to go out with a bang. And it's probably a Memphis team that, I think, Charles Huff probably did a really nice job kind of laying the groundwork for them to be motivated, for them to be a little ticked off in a sense, as far as how things played out. And, that's always dangerous when you go into these bowl games. So much of it is about motivation and what, which team is ready to play. And so it's a fun in the sun trip. It is a really, really nice bowl game to go to down in Raymond James Stadium. You're playing in a pro setting. Memphis has certainly played in that as well, playing in the same conference as USF, which makes it their home stadium. But this is a team that has to capitalize on what they do well, which is be one of the best in red zone scoring. That's what NC State does really, really well. And for this Memphis team, the way their defense plays, if they can get off the field in the red zone and maybe limit to field goals or maybe force a turnover, that is the recipe for success. So NC State hoping to get to 8-5 with a win over Memphis. That game is Friday, 1:30 p.m. Central Time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Good broadcast crew as well. I saw it up online for just a second, but did not keep that page open on my notes side of things. But the current line is NC State -6 from what I've seen on BetMGM. Total set at 58.5. NC State, I don't know if they cover that. I would pick Memphis to cover if I was gambling on it, but you have a NC State team that has the offensive firepower to cover that if they can. But I would go with Memphis to cover and NC State to win straight up in that one in my early pick on the game. But that's how I feel going into it. Hope you guys feel great about your Monday now that you hung out with us on All Access AM. Appreciate Jamie Shaw for stopping by, talking about ACC basketball, breaking all of that down ahead of another huge weekend. Again, don't understand the scheduling gods doing that on Duke, Texas Tech on college football playoff weekend, but here we are. So we'll keep tabs on that and break it all down next week once that game goes final. We'll have college football playoff preview stuff to go through later this week. We'll also have Pete Nako, Steve Wiltfong on Wednesday. Huge show there. Please tune in to that. Hit that subscribe button for us to All Access AM. Google All Access AM YouTube. About half of you don't subscribe to the channel that watch us. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It helps us. We're over 200. We're rolling. We're on to the next. We're on to our goal of 500. That's our big push. So help us hit it. Please subscribe to the channel, and hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. I am Billy Embody. We'll see you Wednesday, 7 to 8 a.m. Central, 8 to 9 Eastern Time on All Access AM. Happy Monday, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and shout out to our sponsors, Security National Bank, Corporate Magic, and Sports Mode. Catch you next time.